Hey YouTube, this is Magician34, and despite being nightmarishly ill, I'm still desperately trying to prepare for Texas States, which is a little over a week from now. And I've been practicing a variety of decks, and I'm trying to, pick out the one I think will be best and the one I think I can execute the best. And I thought I'd share that with you guys because I often post what I do after events, but not necessarily what comes before. So I'm really welcoming feedback, comments. Give me links to other information if you want. Give me lots of feedback if you want to. I mean, if you don't, that's cool too. I understand. But this is something where I'm hoping that not only can I maybe help you guys maybe learn something, but hopefully you guys can help me grow as a player too. I mean, that's part of the idea of my channel. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of list off the decks I've been thinking about. One of them I'm strongly considering is the Metacham. I like Metacham, so we're going to go with Metacham. The Omega Barrage Metacham from Primal Clash. His deck is amazing. It's fast. It's aggressive. It's a lot of what you want in a deck that's going to be able to take you day 2. It sets up easily. It spreads damage around. It takes KOs out of EXs very easily. Any opponent who either doesn't get a good hand or anything like that, any weakness, basically, it just crushes them. People who aren't familiar with their deck, etc. It's the kind of deck that could easily take you X3 after 9 rounds and possibly go better. It just kind of depends on matchups and whatnot. And it does have a few little kinks to kind of iron out, and I need Landorus EXs right now. I'll be honest, I don't have them. And I can probably get them before the event, but that is one of the things that kind of makes me concerned. Although Lucario EX has actually put in way more work in testing than I thought he would. And I have been testing as though I have Landorus EX. He's been okay. He hasn't been as amazing as I thought he would be, actually. But he can help you potentially set up for KOs with Metacham himself. So it's an interesting deck with a lot of promise. Although I've got pretty much all the pieces to build Mono Dark. And Mono Dark is another really amazing and powerful deck. Getting Yveltal EX up, taking advantage of Darkrai EX's free retreats, using Zoroark for quick KOs and to kind of get around Safeguard and Intimidating Main and whatnot. It's an interesting deck too. It's comfortable, it's solid, it has a lot of options with supporters you can do. And I can also make it really pretty, which is which is a plus. I mean, it's not a reason to run a deck, but it is a plus. It's just a good, respectable deck that can take you pretty far. Genesect is another deck, Virgen. I've got the materials to build it. I kind of want to change around the build I've used in the past just a little bit, make it a little more consistent, obviously. But it does a little bit of everything. Thanks to G-Booster, you can power through anything, pretty much. It's not overly exciting, but it gets the job done. It has pretty much good matchups across the board with a couple of exceptions, but it's a very solid deck that I'm considering. And there are a few other decks that are kind of second tier, but they're quite good. One of them is the Shiftry deck, which you can find on my channel. If you're not familiar with it, you can go click the link to my description, and you can click my name, go to my channel. I've got the Shiftry deck there in my uploads. It's not too far back. Shiftry is an amazing deck. It really is. It's very consistent, and its ability to one-shot EXs and create a very strong mid to late game is really cool, and you pretty much almost always have a very good starting Pokemon in that deck, so it's hard to get bad starts, which is very nice. Not every deck can boast that necessarily, and it's just the amazing consistency that deck showed me that made me really think, maybe I could actually take this to States and do well, and a lot of people wouldn't exactly know what to make of the deck, what to expect. Another deck is just the Metal Lynx deck, just Bronzong. There are a number of variants of the deck, but they're all pretty much the same. It's just, build up a couple of Bronzongs on your back row, and then, dump lots of Metal Energies onto big Pokemon and smash things. Dialga EX, Metagross EX, Aggron EX. I'm not a big fan of Aggron EX. He's just a little bit too much setup. I've seen a lot of decks try to use the Aggron EX, but so far they're not very successful. I'm actually kind of a bigger advocate of just using Dialga EX, just straight up. And he tends to do most of the work you'll ever need by himself. And Metagross EX isn't necessarily even necessary, but I think he does, in a lot of ways, I think he's a little bit better than Aggron EX. I know that's heresy in some ways. Well, Mega Aggron, but still, it's a deck worth considering. While it does struggle against Pyroar, you don't see a lot of Pyroar right now. So it's definitely worth considering. This one's a real left fielder, but Delphox, the Lucky Delphox deck I built, honestly, it was so much fun. And it was so successful, so much more than I thought it would be. I've kind of learned that while it's easy for me to play it, some other people don't necessarily find it as intuitive. You gotta really understand the deck and how it's meant to operate, I guess, to make the optimal plays against more challenging opponents. But it's quite a good deck, and I like the concept of how it plays. My only concern with this deck really is the time factor, and how I could easily run to time like every round with this, and that can be fatiguing. But more importantly, I don't want to lose games or draw games strictly because the deck is kind of makes opponents play very, very slowly. Decks like that are always something I'm wary of. But still, it's a great deck, and any deck you can take that is good and fun is always worth considering. Always worth consideration. And last is Seismitoad, and I put Seismitoad by himself because Seismitoad X, not EX, but just Seismitoad plus any other card, in other words, is virtually always worth considering. It's just such a powerful card. He combines with virtually anything that wants double colorless energy. He can be a standalone deck, or he can combine with other cards like Yveltal EX, for instance, to create powerful and effective strategies. And of course, he is also in the Shiftry deck. So, really, in some ways, he's part of some other decks that could already be here among these, but in a lot of ways, he's also his own thing. And I've seen a lot of people trying Seismitoad EX with water for Grenade Hammer recently, using things like Rough Seas to kind of get around the drawback. And it's an interesting idea. It's pretty cool. It allows him to be a little more aggressive. So playing control and aggro. And you can, of course, wait on your Grenade Hammers until you get like the right support to really take advantage of it. So it's an interesting concept, and it's something I kind of want to build around too. So on my run to states, what we're going to be doing is I'm going to kind of be reviewing each of these decks every day or two, and talking about my playtesting, what I've gathered from other players, what I can effectively build and whatnot, because these are all things, you know, budgeting your resources, your time, the cards you have, what you can and can't trade for or buy in time, etc. These are all things that pretty much any player has to do before they go to states. So that's what I'm going to be doing, and just kind of documenting it for your benefit and for mine for future reference. So here it is, the beginning of the documentation of of my run to states. Until next time, like, comment, subscribe, and check out my channel for more cool Pokemon content.